So the questions that they had was, what is Fluxpose? What is it in comparison to slime? How much does it cost over slime? Why is slime cheaper? Somebody talking about ReboCap. I already answered ReboCap. That's another IMU tracker, so we don't need to. I'm going to get into the topic of IMU. What is Fluxpose, which is a full body tracking system for VR. It lets you track things like your hips, your legs, your feet, without needing base stations. A typical full body tracking setup includes Vive 3.0s and then 2 SteamVR base stations, which is going to be around $800. And that's because you're not only buying the trackers, you also have to buy the base stations and put them up in your room so that they can see you. The Fluxpose kit, the light, which comes with trackers. So the beacon here, that's one on your headset. That's going to create the relevance too. And then you've got the ones for your feet, your legs, or whatever else you need to be. And the light kit is about $450, but when you compare that to the base stations and the usual 2 base stations and 3 Vive 3.0s, that's going to be about $350 that you're saving. If you add in the cost of slime, those are about $250 to $300, which is affordable because you don't have to buy base stations, but it relies wholeheartedly on IMU tracking. And then we can talk about the IMU tracking, which is basically a little group of sensors. I'm going to pull this up. It's a little group of sensors that inside the tracker, it tells you where it's moving and where it's rotating. The problem is that when those sensors try to figure out where you are, little tiny errors are going to occur over time, which leads to something that we call drift. It's like if you're trying to figure out where you are by walking around with your eyes closed. Even if you know every step that you're taking, small mistakes are going to eventually add up and put you somewhere different from where you actually are versus where you think you are. Fluxpose also uses IMU, just like slime does, but it also has an external way of determining the position of the trackers with relevance to the beacon, which is on your waist, and one on your head here. So instead of basically saying, oh, I moved this far, so I must be over here, it has an outside reference, such as the beacon, to help determine where you actually are, which is much more of a stable way of tracking without needing lighthouses and base stations. And they also use something called 6D OF tracking, and that just means that the tracker can tell where it is and where you are by facing the tracking movement in 3 directions. You've got left and right, up and down, forward and backwards, but it also tracks rotation. So basically, your tracker knows where it is, how it's orientated, which is important for full body tracking because you're not just rotating, you're moving around in a 3D dimensional space. So VR relies on motion sensors and it experiences drift over time, so you have to calibrate constantly. Where Fluxpose, which uses those same sensors, also uses 6D OF tracking, which gives you a more stable tracking without the need for lighthouse base stations. Any tracking is fun, as long as you're having fun in VR, but it's about how much money you're willing to spend and how far you're willing to go.